Yesterday I told you I think that we made a mistake, 'cause you and I, we lost our sight. It's all about give and take. I don't wanna see when you're at parties with Ollie and the others. You know I really got along with him and your family. Your ex got jealous. Did we do it right? You know, no. Did we speak from our hearts so we could make it right without a fight? You know, no. Imagine what would happen if we did it right. It got me spinning round, round. 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 I'm standing here in plain sight. Still it doesn't seem like you see me. I hate everything about this night. Doesn't matter what I do can get to you. I don't wanna see when you're at parties with Ollie and the others. You know I really got along with him and your family. Your ex got jealous. Did we do it right? You know, no. Did we speak from our hearts so we could make it right without a fight? You know, no. Imagine what would happen if we did it right. It got me spinning round, round. It got me spinning.
Good morning, friends. Welcome to another episode of Let's Connect show on KONNECTiN. Today, we're going to look at one of the most powerful features of ATEM software control called the macros. And today's show is going to be an extension of last show that we did. The last show that we discussed about upstream key and downstream key and how you can use these two features to control the display of animated lower thirds or any animated movie files, and including the static graphic files on top of your video source. And this video is actually inspired by one of the comments that I received from the last show that we did. His name is ATEM Lacroix Video Productis. Excuse me, please, if I messed up your name. And he said that the key that we generated in the last show of when I demonstrated how to use upstream key was not an acceptable quality. And I did some digging in because that was, and I knew, I also knew that actually that was not an acceptable quality. The reason was, actually I didn't know the actual reason until I did some research on that. And that was my second experience, with that key not getting the right quality. And I use Adobe Premiere's motion graphics template, and there's a title template that I downloaded from other website, and I don't know how good that was, so I used that to test it out. But what I found out, actually, when you generate that file, as a plain movie file, animated movie file, and it just into our eye, it looks fantastic. And if you use that file to place it on top of your video and render it out, and it looks fantastic. However, if I bring it into ATEM software control and to use it with ATEM switch, and after I after I go through this upstream key workflow process, the black channel or the black channel on the pixel, the pixel is, some information on that black channel is lost. And I don't know why. I tried to dial in the clip and the gain settings, and it was not cutting it out. Anyway, by the way, if you're new to our show, a warm welcome to you, and please use the comment box to let us know where you're from. And if you don't know who I am, my name is Vijal Bose. I am the host of this Let's Connect show on KONNECTiN. We do product/tech reviews and also provide live streaming tips and strategies to help you create professional looking live content. And if you find any information from this channel useful to you, please consider subscribing to our channel and click the notification icon so that you will not miss any content that we create in the future. All right, let's dive into our main discussion for today. So what happened is actually so today is actually it's like another attempt to generate a pristine quality key using upstream key. So our focus is only on upstream key for today, and as you probably noticed that actually upstream key workflow is a bit invasive, and if you are a one-man band and if you're running the show all by yourself, and it is not going to be humanly possible to manage the upstream key workflow. It is not at all possible, and I tried it and you go crazy. So ATEM software control has this feature called the macros. Macros allows us to screen record every action that we do with the software, and it acts more like a multi-action button. And then the beauty is actually there's a third-party software called companion software through which you can actually map this macro to your Stream Deck and then control your the display of animated movie files using just push button action. Behind the scenes, it is actually just doing multiple things, actually very complex things that we can't handle during the live production like this. So that is our focus for today. Okay, let's actually get into the demonstration window. Okay, this is by browser. This is actually my ATEM software control interface, and so we're going to be looking at creating a macro. And look at the media player section here, and I've got almost 6 files, and this is where things can get messier here. All these media files, these movie files, are actually gonna be played from another device called HyperDeck Studio Mini. It's a playback and recorder device that is already connected to my ATEM switch. I'm using ATEM Mini Pro today, and it's already connected to ATEM Mini Pro, and all these movie files are already there. So depending upon the situation, depending upon where we are with the show, I should be able to play one of those movie files. And today, for demonstration, I'm going to be using the last one, which is the Visual Lower Third _2 movie file. And let's actually take a look at this one real quick, how this movie file looks like. And my machine is a bit slow today, and I'm using a Mac for all my work. Okay, there it is. Okay, not this one, sorry. I want the other one. I think I renamed. Oh, thank you, Mark. Oh, that would be awesome if you have an emulator. That's fantastic. Uh, Mark said, he's currently writing a hyperdeck emulator, so you'll be able to run it from a computer, including Windows, Linux, Raspberry Pi. Oh, that will be fantastic, and I will be the first one to try it out. Let me know when that is available and from where I can actually download. Okay, I think this is the file, I think, if I'm not wrong. Oh, no, where is that file? Maybe this is the one, I guess. That is not the one either. I don't know where I saved that file. This is the one. This is the one. Actually, this one I generated using DaVinci Resolve. DaVinci Resolve is a nonlinear editor, color grading tool from Blackmagic, and you can download it free. And the free version is more than enough to create animated logo thirds like this. So I have a full studio version because I own a couple of the cinema cameras. All right, so now let's get to the software control. So that is a file. I think I renamed it to 2. This is a guy. So now let's get to the, let me show you real quick how this is going to be. And I'm going to, there's a file menu macros, macro. I'm going back here. Okay, I already have 4 macro created here. And you probably notice that subscribe to the channel overlay. And that is a bit more complex because, I have to turn on the audio because that a movie file also has got audio associated with it. So when it plays from the HyperText Studio Mini, I also want that audio to come to follow that video source. So when I created the macro, I enable if I go under this audio tab and enable the audio, bring that volume down, and then do all the heavy lifting of using upstream key to key in that file, and so that you can blend in with our main video source. Then after that, I reset everything, and turn off the audio so that it is available for the next transition or whatever that we're going to be doing next. So that's a bit complex one, but no, we are not going for that because macros are very powerful, but actually you also need a lot of patience in configuring it, fine-tuning it to satisfy your need. And including this one, I thought I got it correct, but I had to play with this macro quite a few times to get it to the level that I wanted. And I'll also show you that the macro is getting stored in a file called and you can actually rename it, but it's actually getting stored in an XML file. And if you're a bit techie geeky, I would highly encourage you to actually look at the information available on the XML, and actually you can tweak it. You don't really need to go through this, screen recording. If you get that, a rough outline of this macro then you can play with it just by editing that XML file. That's what I did. I had to fine tune it a little bit to get to what I'm going to be showing today. All right, so here let's create a macro called Vigil test LT2. So I'm calling it as LT2. So record this. I'm going to minimize this macro so that it doesn't really obstruct me from seeing what it is on the screen. And the first thing is that we got to do is we got to make sure that select this lower third 2. Will do I have an initialization issue? I think I found issue which I'll test this morning. Oh, thank you, Mark. Not if I could use your help to capture communication between Hyperdeck and ATEM. Sure, absolutely, and I will be willing to help you, Mark. No problem. Reach out to me. And that is the first thing that we do. We select the movie file. That is very, very important, because since we have more than one movie files, it is important that we select the right movie file to be associated with that key. Otherwise, it won't work. Now go under palette. We go from right to left, or for you, it is actually left to actually it's again still right to left. So I will choose my fill source is camera 1. I'm only using single camera for today, just to elevate the complexity of doing this. And my key source is actually coming from my Hyperdeck Studio Mini, which is the 4th camera input into my ATEM switch. Now, I tried with this pre-multiplied key enabled, but it did not give me the desired output. So I disabled this, and I have, by the way, I have actually I have a value that I can't figure. I think it is, hang on. Okay, there it is. It's actually 50.6. So this is something not consistent across all the animated movie files. So you have to dial that. These are the two important settings that you have to play with it. And I had to fine tune this, and I have to spend more time in actually, adjusting these two values to get the desired output. Sometimes what happens is, if you dial in too low a value, sometimes your image becomes more darker, and you want an optimum image quality also, right? You want the key to be of acceptable quality. You also want your video source to be of acceptable quality. And now the gain control is actually 26.6 is what I found. This is working. And okay, if this doesn't work, and probably I have to fine tune this again. I hope others allow with the 2 is the right one. Okay, so now I also may have to make sure that this invert key is selected. And now coming back to the program section and the preview section, we got to make sure that our preview is my camera 4 selected. And I don't have to do anything here, but now I want to make sure that the key 1 is enabled. And so now when I transition from camera 1 to camera 4, that whatever that movie file that I selected is going to be placed on top of my, it's going to blend in with my media source. All the transparent information get cut out. And then I just do this. I hope I select the right video file. If it doesn't actually, that we will reset everything, we'll redo it again, okay? Okay, now to demonstrate this, let me switch to this window so that you'll be able to see what I'm doing. Now do this. Oh, so yeah, I chose the wrong file. This is not going to work. So this is not the file that I wanted to play. So that is something that, so basically just I'm going to stop this macro for now, and I don't want this. I'm going to delete this guy, and I wanted to reset everything back so that it doesn't really affect me from doing it again. So let me reset back everything that I was doing so that I can properly, I think this was 27.8, this was 25.4, and now this was reset to this. I think this was already checked. And okay, so now we were here earlier, and okay, I think I got everything back to what it was. So it's important that you have to go back to the previous state, because this animated lower thirds is going to be on the screen only for a short duration. So there is no reason why you have to keep that state enabled. If you don't reset that state, what happens actually is that if you're using multiple camera angles, and things can get really, really messy. So it's always a good, practice to reset, especially when you play with animated movie files, because your life will be much more smoother, especially when you handle live productions. Okay, let's do this again. I hope this time I will get it correct. So now double check everything. Everything is good. Everything is looking good. Everything is actually looking good here, and my media player is also looking good. All right, so now let's go back up here. Visual test LT. I think this should be 3, not 2. Record this. Let's minimize this. Now let's go to the media player. Select the right file, visual lower third _3. Now come back to the palettes tab and select the fill source to camera 1, and this should be camera 4. Make sure that these two are selected properly. Preemptive hide, I have to disable that. It didn't work for me. And what is the value? Okay, 50.6, 26.6, and I'm to enable this invert key. Now coming to this program, actually under preview, make sure that camera 4 is selected. You don't have to do anything here. Now let's do this, and let's go to the demo window so that you will see this. I am going to click on this auto button. Auto. Voila, that worked. But here we also need to add a pause. That animated lower file is actually going to be on the screen for roughly about 5 to 6 seconds. So I just, to be on the safe side, I set the delay to 7 seconds, then add a pause. Then what I need to do is go on to, so now that file is already played, and now let us reset it to what it was before. Now I do the program, and I got to make sure that on air is disabled, and key 1 is also disabled. Then let's reset back this also. This is going to be 27.8. That's how it was earlier. 25.4, and make sure that this was back to what it was before, and that's it. Now, okay. So now our macro is created. Okay, and let's quickly check our file. Let me make sure that this is saved properly. File, save. And before I save this, let's test it out, because we've got to make sure that that macro really works, right? And so when I click on test and run, let's see whether that plays that animated movie file. Voila. And now it just sits there, vanishes it, and resets back everything. And this time it worked. And you don't see any glitch also. So you got to play with this multiple times until you get the fine-tuned configuration. So now what we need to do is we got to save this macro under File, Menu, Save. So you can actually save this. I'll just name it as macros. And save this. It's going to save it with the today's date. Then it also asks you to save all these settings. I don't want all this, so I select none. I only select macros because that XML file otherwise is going to be a huge one. I'll just save this macro settings and save. And let's quickly go to our Windows, our Finder window. What is that? Under Documents, and this is a file 925. Okay, this is a file. Now let's actually open this. Open with my text editor. Okay, there you go. So now okay, let me change back to this one. Okay, I changed back to add to broadcast. Okay, I'll change the dual view to so that, can you see this better, Mark? Let me know. And where is that macro? Okay, this is not the one. Okay, there's the one. This is the one. This section. Can I increase this? And you can see this better, right? All right, so let me enhance it a little more further. So this is the macro that we just created. So see, this is you got to make sure that what file. I always go back and check this line because that is very important, because otherwise you will end up playing the wrong file. And especially if you have only one hyperdeck and you have I've got a bunch of movie files in there, you got to know which file to be played. And make sure that all these options, actually I just follow because I already have a backup of this. So I double check that, okay, this actually recorded everything that I needed. I think it looks pretty good. So that's it. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to close this. If you are a little bit technical, actually you can edit this file, and there is no harm in doing that. You can edit it and save this file. Make sure that these tags are intact. This opening and closing tags are intact, including these. Otherwise, the ATEM software controller will not be able to recognize it. Okay, and you close this. Now what we're going to do is if you go under file, you can also restore this, and here it is. Here is our file, and you can actually restore it. So make sure that you back up that macro file, that setting, that XML file, so that it's always available to you. And then you can actually restore. That is the file that I wanted to do. There you go. Then it asks you this question. When you restore, during restoration, then actually the only macros are enabled, and you just store this. So your macro is available to you at your disposal. And that is this one. I also have another one, what I wanted to show you. Let me go to another scene, so that let me run this. And this is not, again, this screen needs little more adjustment, but last night I got it to work. And this is also an acceptable quality key. And this a bit complex animation is already baked in. There you go. See, there's a slight flicker at the end, right? So that I did not get that correctly. So I'm still playing with that clip and gain setting. So, but you can do that. But actually, it needs more time to play with those values. Now, I wanted to show you how I generated these movie files in the first place. And let's actually fire DaVinci Resolve. I have the latest DaVinci Resolve Studio, which I downloaded a couple of days ago because I updated from the previous version I have, and it's looking pretty solid. And DaVinci Blackmagic added lots of features that these days, and I use DaVinci Resolve for all my editing work. So here is my animated lower third file. Let me open that. Okay, there's a problem. The problem is, how do I minimize this? But anyway, let me go back to the dual screen. I know this is actually a little smaller. If you're watching this on a mobile phone, this may not be that viewable. But just be with me. And what I did is I used a title template under effects library, and I used a lower third simple vertical 2 lines. So if I just play this file, and this is what I did, and I didn't do anything else. I just dragged into the timeline, and I all I did is go into this pane on the right side and put in my name, my title, and I just played with the colors a little bit. And one of the things that I noticed, especially in the last demonstration, actually, when I use Adobe Premiere's motion graphics template to generate the animated movie file, I mentioned that, right? Some of the color information, the black channels, color information's getting lost in that upstream key process. And so I made sure that there is no black, title. Everything is different color. So that's something that that's my experience. So please let me know what your experience actually is. If you have a different experience, and I'm interested in knowing it. So I made sure that no black information. So there's all this title. It's a blue and white, and this is actually more like a orangish tone here, and it's all white here. No black at all. No black information. Maybe it is to do with because the transparent area is the alpha channel area is all looking black. So when you try to key in, and if there is some black information in that the color, and that is where it getting a little bit pixelated. And you can fine tune it using the clip and gain settings of ATEM software control under upstream key Luma values. But I didn't get it correct the last time. It was not a good quality key. Anyway, so that's about this one. But now let me get to show you what I really want to show you to the deliver. If you go deliver this file, let me again go back to this screen so that you can see this. Under deliver, when you deliver, actually this is the last stage in that process of creating that movie file. So there are several templates here. You have to choose ProRes master, and a ProRes master, your format is QuickTime, codec is Apple ProRes, and type. The type should be selected to Apple ProRes 4444. That should be the codec, and that's the only codec that will have the transparency information baked in as part of that that movie file. The ProRes 422 does not have that alpha channel with the movie file. So that is the one important setting that you have to make sure you choose the right type. And here I choose the frame rate is 29.97. The reason for that is my HyperText Studio, with all the movie files coming out of my HyperText Studio Mini files are cut using the same frame rate, 29.97. So that is the limitation of HyperText Studio Mini. So if you have any movie file that you placed on the HyperText Studio Mini with the frame rate 29.97, and you got to make sure that all of the movie files should follow the same frame rate. If you can just work around this limitation and and if you understand the power of HyperText Studio Mini, and everything will be smoother. And that's why I chose frame rate as 29.97. And you can render it and export it, and that's what I did. So that's about the DaVinci Resolve. So let's quit this. I don't want to save this. And the second animated file, for example, this one, this animated lower thirds I created using Keynote. Keynote is a PowerPoint equal if you are from a PC environment. This is more like a PowerPoint equivalent application available on the Mac, and it is already installed and available to me at my disposal. So why not use it? So that's what I use. And a lot of people don't use Keynote, don't understand the power of Keynote, actually Keynote. And speaking of Keynote, I learn everything from a friend by name Bradley Vinson. He is my go-to Keynote graphics guru. And he teaches, he also has a channel called Bradley Teaches, a YouTube channel. So, and I'll have his information in the description after the show. So make sure that you check his channel also, because I learned what I did is actually is I just followed his instruction. 90% of that is actually I followed his instruction, and I created that, and we'll learn the only thing few parameters actually I adjusted it to my taste. And let me quickly show you what I did. What is my Keynote? All right, there is a Keynote. Okay, I have this file. Oh no, that's not the one. That's not the one. Where did I save that? Okay, under my shared drive. Go under movies, projects. There is my channel. Keynote LT. Okay, there it is. Yesterday's file. There you go. So this is all done using Keynote, and Keynote has got so much power, and a lot of people don't know. Including the box, if you actually use this Keynote to draw any shapes, and you can actually edit that shape right in the Keynote by right click, and you say make it editable. There's an option here, make editable, and if you choose that, let me show this real quick. There is an option called make editable, and if you make that, actually then you have this corner pins, and you push your shift button, and then you can actually drag it and create any shape you want. That is so powerful, and that's what I did too. So hold this file. So now after it's done, you got to make sure that your background is all black, because that is where the transparency information is going to be baked in. And I spent about almost an hour, because this has got some complex animations that I put in. These animations it's all artistic choice, and how you want it to appear, and how long is the delay, and how long that animation should stay on the screen, things like that. All those things are actually it's your personal taste. So I spent about almost an hour to come up with this, and then you go under file, under file. When you go under file, first let me show you this, that you'll see this, and you see export to movie, and that is what you should select. Okay, and then you get this window, export your presentation, and then you got to make sure that this is playback is playing, and this should be 0, and this should be 0, and you choose custom. Under custom, you gotta be, this should be 1920 by 1080, and 30 frames, actually 30 frames. Oh, I know, 29.97 frames. This should be Apple ProRes 444. You see, look at that. That is very important. And now you can take this and you can actually click next, and then it actually exported it. This is important that you have to choose the right frame rate. Otherwise, like I said, it won't play into my from the Hypertext Studio Mini. And so powerful, so powerful. And that is the export settings that if you want to if you want to use Keynote to generate your movie file. And that's about it, guys. I hope you enjoyed it, and there's so much you can do with macros. The more I play with it, actually, I feel that I'm getting more control in creating the scenes. And if you are coming from OBS or any other live streaming applications, they're all they handle scene. They actually, those live streaming applications work based on scene structure. So you set up your scenes, then you can manage those scenes. Now, one thing that I did not show you is this one. So let me get to that part. Where is that screen? Okay, this is my Hyperdeck. This is my Stream Deck. So now, this is the macro that we just created, right? Visual Test LT3s. Now, how do I get this macro onto my Stream Deck is what I'm going to show you next. Now, I have a software that's running on my machine called, where is my mouse pointer? Oh, there it is. Okay, so there is something called Companion. Let me bring it up to your window. You see this? This actually, it's a companion software from BitFocus, and it's free to download. And I'm going to launch the GUI. Okay, so now the GUI is launched. So here, the beauty of this companion software is that it already has integration with the Blackmagic switches. And you got to choose the right one, Blackmagic design, from the category. Add by category, you can see under, I think it's under Blackmagic. I forgot to choose the category that I need to choose under ATEM, maybe ATEM. Maybe should I choose add by add by Blackmagic design. So go by add by manufacturer, then you'll see that whole bunch of things that they support. Blackmagic design. So I chose Blackmagic design ATEM. So I configure, since the switch is already networked, it's able to communicate with it by the IP address. So if you this thing is still says connecting, then you can edit this. You go under here, you can edit the target IP and save it, and then you should be able to see that. Okay, now this also has neat integration with Elgato Stream Deck. So that's what I use to control my show. The Stream Deck plugin is here, and so that is where we're going. So now we go under presets tab. You already have the available instance presets here. So then you click on this Blackmagic design, then you click on this macro, and this macro. See, this is the Visual Test 3 is already here. And now you go into button layout. Since I already used up all these here, because all other things are already used on my Stream Deck, so I can't really use it. So I go to the page 2, and I will configure it there. All right, so Visual Test 2. So then you go under Visual Test 2. You can customize that button layout or how it looks. You can have a PNG file on top of this and adjust the text and things like that. So that's something that we can do. So for now, I just wanted to make sure that this works. So now go back up here and now go under. Okay, now go under this hide. Let's hide this guy. Now, I think it's up here. Okay, it's already here. Look at that. That guy is already here. Now, if I just press this, let's quickly going to this scene. Let's see if that thing works. That works. It's push button simple action, right? Beautiful. So that's it, guys. That's it for today. I hope you enjoyed what we did today. And if you have any questions, let me know. And thank you, Mark, for all your inputs. I look forward to working with you. And thank you, Maya, for joining our show today. And I'll see you on the next one.